everybody, welcome to another daily devotions. Good to have you with us today. Man, I'm downstairs again. We had a good day this week, but I got busy. And I've really been enjoying being here in the studio and being able to really hone in on some of these passages. So today's no different. We're going to be diving into Matthew 22. This one's really neat. So I want to read from Matthew. Okay, so Matthew 22, 15 through 22, I guess is what we're going to be working on. And I hope you're having a good week. I hope you're enjoying these devotions. I certainly am. It's been really neat to be able to just stop and slow down on Saturdays, watch the premiere sometimes with you guys or watch it after. And it's odd to watch myself speak through this stuff again, but it's been great because the truths have been really deep. And if you're in our Join Days Band community, you know that the Wednesday Bible studies have been really, really cool. And we'll get to this one for sure, but I couldn't wait because I read this week and I was like, man, this is so great. I don't even want to wait. I want to get into it. So Matthew 22, 15, it starts like this, okay? So a little bit of a backstory. As we've been rolling through Matthew, the Pharisees, the Sadducees have always been trying to find a way to trap Jesus. And this one, they think they got him here, but once again, Jesus outsmarts them, is thinking clearly much further ahead than them and all of us, and shows this incredible, just the way this rolls out is awesome. So, Matthew 22, 15, it starts like this. Then the Pharisees went and plotted together how they might trap him in what he said. And they sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians, saying, "Teacher, we know that you are truthful and teach the way of God in truth and defer to no one," right? "For you are not partial to any. Tell us then, what do you think? Is it lawful to give a poll tax to Caesar or not?" Right? So they got him like they're trying to really get into this here. And so he says, he perceived their malice and said, "Why are you testing me, you hypocrites? Show me the coin used for the poll tax." And they brought him a denarius. And he said to them, "Whose likeness and inscription is on the coin?" They said to him, "Caesar's." Then he said to them, "Then render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." And hearing this, they were amazed. And leaving him, they went away. They probably went away with their kind of tails tucked between their legs, and they were just like, he got us again. It's incredible. But the one thing that I wanted to kind of dive into just a little bit here is this image scenario, this image reference, right? So Jesus, he says, "Give me a coin," right? He takes a coin, he looks at it, and there's a picture of Caesar on it, and he says, "Hey, whose picture is on this coin?" And they said, "Well, it's Caesar's." And he's like, "Okay, so if Caesar's image is on the coin, then that coin belongs to Caesar. So give it to him. And then so give to God what is God's." And in other words, I just want to read one of the notes here that I found, which is just great. "That which bears the image of Caesar ultimately belongs to him," lowercase h. Why not give it to him? In this way, Jesus essentially shrugs off the challenge as a false dilemma, right? It's kind of like, hey, this is common sense. His picture's there, just give it to him. One can honor the requirements of a secular government without embracing all that stands for. Paying the tax to Rome, then, is a separate question from the issue of the Old Testament law. Interestingly, though, Jesus' remark also begs an important question, and don't miss this, okay? If you take anything away from this particular devotion, stick with me here, okay? If we owe Caesar that which bears his image, what then do we owe God? Question mark. The assumed answer is that we owe God that which The assumed answer is that we owe God that which bears the image of God. This profound implication points to the creation account where God created humanity in his own image. Genesis 1:27. We can go there if you want to really reference it. But every human being bears the image of God. In that way, all of humanity belongs to him, including ourselves. Jesus' answer makes clear that human beings are responsible not just to give their money to whatever government issues it, but also to give ourselves to the God who made us. Whew. I mean, I have never thought of it this way, and I never took this metaphor that Jesus puts together, and I just found it fascinating. It blew me away that here we are in the midst of this parable, and Jesus just lays it in there. So, just to jump back to Genesis 1:27, okay, so we really have a concrete explanation of how this looks. God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and rule over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the sky and everything living that moves on the earth. So God created us in his image. Okay? I'm just trying to see if there's any other notes here that I don't want to miss, but there's not. Okay, so image, so important. And here we have these guys trying to back Jesus into this corner and say, what do we do? Like, do we give to Caesar? And he's like, hey, the image is there. Give it to him. So that's one thing, right? Government, political stuff aside, really just focusing in on this. The assumed answer is that we owe God what is God. We bear the image of the Father. Plain and simple. So what do we owe to God? We owe our lives. We owe ourselves. This points to this account where God created humanity in his own image. Every human being bears the image of God. In that way, all humanity belongs to him. So to wrap this completely around, right? And to just say, I stopped. I remember I was writing this devotion. I believe it came out this week if you're in our membership. You should have got it one of these days. And I just stopped for a minute and I said, wow, like that one knocked me off my feet. Here he is, these guys are trapping him, trying to trap him. And he's like, that's not it. You missed it again, right? We bear the image of God. Therefore, we belong to God. And so what does that look like in your life? What does that mean? I bear the image of God, so I belong to God. So what do we do with that knowledge? Well, we follow Jesus. We follow him daily. We follow his teachings. We follow who he is. We follow what he's about. And we try to imitate him every single moment. And that's where we get tripped up and caught up in our own humanness, right? We were talking tonight about how we Matthew 16, it goes into this whole thing about how Jesus is basically saying to the disciples, hey, it's getting to the point where I'm going to have to go off. He kind of foretells his death. And Peter says, God forbid it, Lord, this shall never happen to you. Peter doesn't want Jesus to go, right? He doesn't want him to suffer. And yet, Jesus is like, this is it. Get behind. He literally says, get behind me, Satan. You're a stumbling block to me. Because Jesus came here. Yes, he brings peace and love, mercy, grace, compassion, all of this stuff. But at the bottom line of it all is he is a suffering servant. The example that he set for us is servanthood. And so the fact that we bear the image of God and that we belong to God and we should be serving God, it comes right back around to this servanthood that Jesus shows us as we move through our lives and as we move through this study. Like, this is what it's about. Jesus is showing us who he is and how we should live. This is so heavy still be listening to these things launch on Saturday mornings, but bottom line, like, Jesus came to be a servant. And so this comes right back to trust and faith and surrender. And what does that look like for you? If you bear the image of God, you belong to God. Undisputed fact, right? Right there in Genesis. God made us in his image. So we bear the image of God, no doubt. But what are we going to do with that? Are we going to live for ourselves? Are we going to live for everything that culture and society tells us to live for? We could. Is that the way that Jesus wants us to live? No. He created each and every one of us to be unique and incredible people with a purpose and a calling that serves him, that brings him glory, right? That's what it's about, bringing him glory. And this is, look, huge stumbling block for every single one of us, myself included. It's just the way it is. We are taught from birth, basically. We spoke about it tonight in the Bible study, up and to the right, up and to the right, up and to the right. This is not what society teaches us. And yet Jesus is flipping the whole thing on its head and saying, you are made in the image of God. You are made in the image of God. Therefore, you belong to God. What are you going to do with it? What does that look like to you, to me? Denying ourselves. And further on in Matthew 16, it gets into the cost of discipleship. And it got so heavy. It gets so heavy in the midst of this. But Jesus basically says, disciples have to deny themselves and take up their cross. And the cross, it's gotten very watered down over the last bunch of centuries. I'm trying to find the note that I had found. But we've watered down the cross. The cross was an instrument of death. And yet Jesus says, take up the cross. Deny yourself and take up the cross. And one note that I got here, the two, deny himself and take up the cross. Jesus made deny himself equal to take up your cross. The two express the same idea. The cross wasn't about self-promotion or self-affirmation. The person carrying the cross knew that they couldn't save themselves. They knew it was over. If you're carrying a cross, you know that it's over. And yet, Jesus took that cross, died for you, died for me in the midst of it all. We bear the image of God. Therefore, we belong to God. What does that mean for you? What's the cost of belonging to God? What does it mean for me? This is a valid question, a really tough question. The cross wasn't about self-promotion or self-affirmation. The person carrying a cross knew that they couldn't save themselves. We're not here to promote ourselves. We're not here to promote, we're not here to affirm who we are as a person, right? We're here to affirm who we are as a disciple of Jesus. That's what this is about. We bear the image of God. Therefore, we belong to God. Take up your cross and follow him. Man, there's a lot to it. And if you want to dig deeper, head over to, if you're a member, dive into the couple of Bible studies over the last couple of weeks. And if you're not a member, join us, get involved, and really dig into this, because there's so much in here. But I just wanted to skim the surface here just a little bit today, and just talk about this image idea, right? Like this being the image of God and belonging to God. How is that going to manifest itself over the next 7 days, over the week, this week here? What's that going to look like? Okay, if you do wake up in the morning and you say, I am the image of God, I belong to God. That is, it's just a fact. What does that look like as you wake up every morning? As you pray, as you spend time with Jesus in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, whenever you do that, what does that look like? God, we are your craftsmanship. It says we are his masterpiece. We're created in the image of God, therefore we belong to God. So just take a minute, meditate on that. And talk to God today. Thank him for who you are, for the image of him in you. And then, man, let's think about what that looks like as we roll forward into this week. Like the image of God. Do people see God when they see you? When they interact with you? When they talk to you? Do people see God? That's the question that we're going to ask this week. Do people see God when they talk to you? Is he glorified in your conversations, in your actions, in your reactions? Are you being a reflection of him every single day? Yeah. Heavy. So go ahead, read Matthew 22, 15 through 22. If you really want to dive deep, Matthew 16, 21 to like 28 or so. And if you really want to dive even deeper, check out our Bible study and all the devotions that come out every single day in our member area. Just go to joindavesband.com. Join, if you're not a member, join us and get involved. Our membership is like nothing else you've ever seen. The first few dollars of your membership goes straight to helping to sponsor a child, saving a life. And then the balance goes right back into this ministry so we can keep doing these videos, so we can get out there, play shows, see kids' lives changed through child sponsorship. And you get access to worship videos, access to Bible studies. We've got over 250 or 300 hours of content inside the member area. And we have an incredible community of people coming together, praying for each other, praying with each other, and just building community together. It's an incredible place. And I've been loving it. I've been loving leading it, but we're all in this together, and we want you to be part of it. So joindavesband.com. Use the code 25OFF forever if you want, and you get 25% off your membership forever. But I say all that because I really feel like we're building a community of people. We had 28 or 30 people on the Bible study on Wednesday night. We're building a community of people that are all hearing the same message. And they're hearing about the fact that they're made in the image of God. Therefore, we all belong to God. So what does that look like in our daily walk? How are we reflecting Jesus in our daily walk? How are people seeing us in the image of God in our daily walk? It's a very convicting question, and one that you can't just kind of glaze over it. You really need to dive into it. So I'm encouraging you to dive into it tonight. What does that look like for you? If we're made in the image of God, how are you reflecting him every single day? Right? Man. Go meditate on these verses. Matthew 22, Matthew 16. Just hang out in it for a little bit. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Prayers up for you today. Join us if you want to join us. I can't say enough about it. Just head over to joindavesband.com. And together we are seeking Jesus every day. All right. Have a great rest of your day, a great weekend. And if you have any questions, comments, throw them up in the comments in this video, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or on the website. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation about this. But it's a very, very compelling question. So thanks for being here. Thanks for being involved in this. And think about that today. How are you reflecting Jesus today? All right. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.